see a woman with a bloodied face saying, "Bill, it's your baby," before being shot in the head by the said man. In the first scene, we see her driving an open car and proceeds to explain that she had been in a coma for 4 years, but now she's seeking vengeance. She's headed toward her final target, Bill, determined to kill him, and along the way she reveals that she had to eliminate many others. We then go back in time to the Two Pines Wedding Chapel in El Paso, Texas, where a dress rehearsal for a wedding is taking place. Reverend Harmony and his wife decide that since the bride, the woman from the beginning, will have no relatives present at the wedding, the groom's relatives and friends can sit on both sides of the aisle. The bride, named Beatrix, is irritated by the Reverend's wife's rude comments about her having no relatives around, so she leaves the chapel for some fresh air, only to be distracted by the sound of flute music. Bill is sitting on a porch bench, playing a bamboo flute. He asks her about her occupation and expresses interest in her fiancé, Tommy. Beatrix says she works at Tommy's used record store, which she claims to love. Bill is keen to meet Tommy, and she asks him to be nice, but he replies that he does not know how to be nice but will do his best to be sweet. They enter the hall, and she introduces Bill to her fiancé as her father, but rejects the fiancé's idea that, as her father, he should give her away at the ceremony. As the bride and groom are called to the front by the Reverend Harmony, no attempt is made to introduce father to the rest of the fiancé's family. Bill stays at the back of the chapel. Shortly after, 4 armed assassins, all dressed in black, appear outside the chapel. They march in single file to the door, enter, and begin shooting, killing everyone inside except for the bride and Bill. Back in the present, Bill visits his younger brother Budd, aka Sidewinder, in his trailer. He is isolated in the desert, and Bill warns him about Beatrix. The bride has eliminated a notorious criminal gang, and if Budd refuses Bill's protection, she will kill him. Budd, drinking as they converse, jokingly admits that the bride deserves her revenge. He enrages Bill by confessing that he pawned his valuable samurai sword, a gift from Bill, for $250. This means he no longer has a weapon to defend himself. Though they've had past conflicts, Bill urges his brother to move forward. Still, Budd refuses his older brother's offer. Budd arrives late at the strip club where he works as a bouncer. He's 20 minutes late and finds the club deserted. After a brief chat with the bartender, Jay, Budd is summoned to the office by his irritable, cocaine-snorting boss, Larry Gomez. Larry chastises him for being late again, to which Budd responds that there's no one in the bar, so there's no need for him to be there. In response, Larry revokes his upcoming work hours and angrily orders him not to return until he calls him. In addition, he insults Budd, telling him to stop wearing his ridiculous hat. Budd leaves the office, and a dancer named Rocket asks him to clean the bathroom, as it's broken. Later, he returns to his trailer, but when he stands outside, he pauses, staring off into space. He enters the trailer but keeps his gaze fixed on the window. The bride, who had been hiding under the trailer, clings to the wall, trying to stay unnoticed. When she opens the door, Budd shoots her in the chest with a rifle loaded with salt. He takes pleasure in the moment, injecting her with a sedative as she lies wounded on the ground. Grabbing a beer, he calls Elle Driver, asking for $1 million in exchange for the bride's Hattori Hanzo sword. Ella agrees to bring the money the following morning and instructs him to torture the bride until she dies. A few hours later, he and an accomplice dig a deep hole in the ground, intending to bury the wounded bride alive. Once the hole is ready, Beatrix is given a choice. If she doesn't protest, she'll receive a flashlight. If she does, Budd will burn her eyes with spray and bury her alive in darkness. Beatrix then chooses the flashlight and is placed in a coffin. Budd explains that he's doing this for his brother and closes the lid, which he then nails shut. They walk away after lowering the coffin and covering it with dirt. In a flashback, Bill and Beatrix, who's deeply in love with him, sit around a fire in rural China, and he calls her baby while playing his bamboo flute. He tells her about the legendary martial arts master, Pai Mei, and the 5-point palm technique that explodes the heart. This technique involves 5 blows delivered with the fingertips at specific points on the body. The victim's heart explodes after taking 5 steps. Having just returned from Pai Mei's residence, Bill informs Beatrix that Pai Mei will accept her as his student, as he's an old lonely man. Bill's battered face shows signs of injury, but he refuses to explain what happened. He cautions her not to disrespect or disobey Pai Mei, as he hates Caucasians, despises Americans, and holds women in contempt. She climbs the steps to meet him, only to be humiliated by Pai Mei, who mocks her fighting skills and her nationality. He challenges her to land a single blow against him as they spar, and she fails. Moments later, she tries to use a boulder, and he effortlessly tosses it aside after blocking her wrist. He threatens to sever her hand with a single strike, declaring that her hand now belongs to him and that she must strengthen it. In the weeks that follow, the bride trains diligently, mastering martial arts forms, hauling buckets of water up a steep staircase, and learning to eat with chopsticks. Her toughest challenge is landing a blow with her fist at close range, punching through a solid wooden board. In the present, still trapped in the coffin, the bride manages to remove her boots and the belt binding her feet. She pulls a razor from her boot and frees her hands. She then inspects the coffin lid for any weak spots, striking repeatedly with her fist. Before breaking through, the planks are covered with her blood. It feels as though she's swimming in the earth, and an arm seems to rise from the grave. The bride finally breaks free and breathes in fresh air. She enters a diner, caked in mud and dirt, sits down, and calmly requests a drink of water. Ella arrives at Bud's trailer to pick up the promised samurai sword. She enters and hands Bud a red suitcase brimming with cash. Meanwhile, in the distance, Beatrix walks steadily toward the trailer. As Elle inspects the sword, Bud casually mixes margaritas in a grimy blender, serving them in dirty jelly glasses. Bud smugly recounts how he killed the bride, who incidentally is also Ella's enemy. He opens the suitcase, revels in the cash, and is suddenly bitten in the face by a venomous black mamba snake hidden inside. Before dying, Elle expresses regret that he was the one to kill the bride, as she believes Beatrix deserved more. Elle calls Bill, informing him that the bride killed his brother and that she, in turn, killed the bride. She also reveals Beatrix's burial location at Paula Schultz's grave, and for the first time, mentions the bride's true identity, Beatrix Kiddo. She prepares to leave, but the bride intervenes, launching an immediate attack and landing a double foot strike to Elle's chest. Their prolonged and intense battle causes significant damage to the trailer. During the fight, Elle seizes Beatrix's sword. The bride spots another katana in a golf bag, with an inscription from Bill to Bud. It appears Bud lied about pawning it. Beatrix wonders what Elle must have said to Pai Mei to provoke him into gouging out her eye. Elle confesses that she called him a pitiful old fool. She also admits to poisoning Pai Mei's favorite dish, fish heads, as revenge, leading to his death. She relishes the irony of using the bride's own sword to kill her during their duel. When they get close, however, Beatrix gouges out Ella's remaining eye and crushes it underfoot. Instead of finishing her off, the bride walks out of the trailer. The black mamba hisses as Ella screams in agony and struggles. In Acuña, Mexico, the bride visits one of Bill's former mentors, the courtly retired pimp Esteban Vijallo, and requests information about Bill's whereabouts. He quickly realizes that she is the woman Bill shot in the head, but never expected her to survive. Esteban tells her where Bill is, acknowledging that he is waiting for her. She smiles upon learning Bill's location so easily, sensing that Esteban is just afraid of dying. Afterward, she drives to Bill's home. She enters his hacienda cautiously, gun in hand, but is overcome with emotion when she sees Bill and their daughter, BB, who is 4 years old, playing with toy guns. Beatrix is stunned, but joins them for dinner. Bill explains to BB that he shot her mother because he was angered when she left him for another man. The bride spends a good time with her daughter, who soon falls asleep. Later, she leaves the room to speak with Bill. When she attempts to reach for the sword above the TV, he fires a warning shot. He then shoots her with a dart laced with truth serum and waits for it to take effect. He is perplexed, as he believes she is a born killer, incapable of change. He asks if she enjoyed killing those on her revenge list, and the truth serum compels her to admit that she did. He asks why she hid the fact that she was pregnant, and she recounts a story. Flashback to a hotel room. Beatrix, sent to Japan for an assassination mission, discovers she is pregnant while in there. Karen Kim, another assassin who saw the bride's arrival, blows a hole in the door with a rifle. Pointing the gun at Karen, Beatrix tells her she's pregnant and urges her to check the test. She then asks her to leave, promising to do the same. As she leaves, Karen congratulates the bride. Back in the present, Bill asks why she left him, and she explains that she wanted to protect their child from a life of violence, hoping she wouldn't grow up to be a killer like them. They agree to have a sword fight on the beach, but he suddenly attacks her as they sit on his patio. At the climax of a brief skirmish during which both remain seated, she uses the 5-point palm exploding heart technique on him, and they calm down to talk one final time. She tells Bill that she did not mention that Pai Mei taught her the technique because she is a bad person. Bill disputes that. They share an affectionate farewell before he takes 5 steps and falls down dead. She sobs on the bathroom floor for Bill, while BB watches cartoons in their hotel room. In the end, Beatrix takes her daughter away to start a new life. The lioness has rejoined her cub, and all is right in the jungle.
And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Watch other recaps on the screen. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.